Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Insomnia Scott Selections here for Wednesday, October 13th. For today's play of the day, quick recap of what happened yesterday. We pick up a loss in college football with Louisiana, team total under 26.5 at minus 120 on DraftKings. App State had a complete no-show on both sides of the ball. Louisiana scored 20 points in the first quarter. And yeah, App State couldn't get a stop to save its life. Louisiana scored 41 points. Definitely not the way I thought the game would go. But either way, I picked up a sweat-free loser there, which is unfortunate, but it happens. And we'll look for a bounce-back winner here on Wednesday. However, the card is pretty light. You have no baseball because you have a day off in between Game 4 and Game 5 for that Dodgers-Giants series. Every other series has ended in the divisional round. Besides that, you have preseason basketball with no lines up yet. And you have hockey, which is the only thing on the card. And I'm not going to touch it because it is opening night, so I'm going to wait and see what happens there. But I'm going to do a look-ahead play for college football over the weekend. It's going to be in a primetime game between Alabama and Mississippi State. They'll be taking place on Saturday night. And for the play of the day, we're going to be taking Bama minus 16.5 at minus 114 on FanDuel. Time recording of 1:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Covering why I like Bama in this spot. First of all, you might be wondering why I'm taking this play now instead of waiting for the weekend show for college football. And the answer is, if you think 16.5 is going to be there in about 2 or 3 days, you're out of your damn mind because there's no chance 16.5 is going to be there. FanDuel is the only book that I found that still has 16.5. Every other book either has 17 or 17.5, which is very important because we all know 17 is a key number in football, whether it's college or the pros. So 16.5, you're still getting a great deal on. Paying 4 cents a juice to cross over a key number is great value. I'm going to do that every time. But to go through the spot for Bama, we know Bama lost on TV last week. They ended up losing a heartbreaker to A&M. Game was close, A&M being unranked. It was a shocker that Bama ended up losing to an unranked opponent. However, if you want to look at the overall talent disparity between those two teams, it's closer than you think because A&M has been a top 10 recruiting class for the last couple of seasons. We know Bama automatically number one. They get the best recruits every year. It is what it is. A&M, though, usually top 10. That's how it's been going. Meanwhile, Mississippi State is usually around the top 30, somewhere between 24 and 30 for the last couple of years. So the talent disparity between Bama and Mississippi State is going to be a lot more noticeable than the differential between Bama and A&M. And I do think that Bama's superior athletes at basically every single position will do whatever they want over the course of this 60-minute game, especially after a loss where you know Alabama is not looking ahead to anything. They have Tennessee at home up next. They're going to be focused completely on getting back on track, saving the national title hopes, and burying this Mississippi State team that is only 3-2. This team offensively has looked sharp because in the air raid system, we know Rodgers is going to throw the ball around the parking lot 45 to 50-something times per game. But I don't think it's really going to matter. This team might end up putting up some points, but we know Mike Leach is pretty aggressive. He'll go for it on fourth down, so do all that stuff. And I do think that Alabama's defense, after getting embarrassed by Calzada last week, will have a much better game plan and be a lot more focused for this matchup against this pass-only offense, which Mike Leach likes to run. But these teams faced off last year, Mike Leach being in his second year, and Mississippi State, of course, had a matchup against Bama last year, and it didn't go too well. Bama won 41-0. Now, I know you can't really take much away from that because Mississippi State was really underwhelming last year, and Bama was arguably the best team of all time, so it's pretty tough to actually draw much. But the point is that Bama, with Saban, I do think is going to have a good game plan. Bama, I think, looked ahead a little bit against A&M. They had an unranked opponent up next. They kind of went through the motions, and they got punched in the mouth, and it happens. But you want to look at the bright side. The offense was fantastic. Young had 350-plus passing yards. Robinson was great on the ground. The defense was awful, and I will acknowledge that, but I do think that they will have renewed focus, and I think that Saban will get his guys ready to go. Historically speaking, off losses, Saban is really good at generating blowout wins the following week, and I think Bama, after getting embarrassed, is going to try to take it out on somebody, and unfortunately for Mississippi State, it's going to be them. So I think Bama wins this game going away. I think 17 is a safe guess. I think they'll probably win this game by 3-4 touchdowns. If Bama wins this game by about, let's just say 31, would you be surprised? Probably not. At the end of the day, Bama, despite losing, in my opinion, is the second best team in the country behind Georgia. You make an argument the floor of this team is top 4. Mississippi State lost to LSU at home. They barely beat La Tech at home. And they lost to Memphis on the road. So this team, I think, is a mediocre SEC team. I think Bama's going to kill this team. and I'm going to get in now before it crosses over 17 and a half, and most likely into the 18 to 19. So the play today, once again, here for Wednesday, October 13th, is going to be a look-ahead game on Bama, minus 16 and a half at minus 114 on FanDuel against Mississippi State over the weekend. Bye, everyone.